Hi there, welcome along to the Racing Post Weekend Postcast. Bruce Millington, Paul Keeley and James Hill in the studio. It's our last ever postcast from our Canary Wharf headquarters because we're moving to our swanky new office over the weekend. So there's no bells and whistles today, but hopefully tons of tips. Grab a pen and paper and we will take you through the most fantastic weekend of racing. Obviously, the jumps are back. The Charlie Hall is what a lot of us think of as the real start of the jump season, and we've got a superb race this year. There's also great stuff from Ascot, and if you love your American racing, the flat superstars of the world converge on Del Mar over on the West Coast for the Breeders' Cup. There's also two superb jumps races at Down Royal featuring some of the biggest names and potentially the 2018 Cheltenham Gold Cup winner. And for good measure on Sunday, we've got some really great stuff in Ireland and some decent horses who could go on and become stars are running at Huntingdon and Carlisle. So before we get into the tips, Paul Keeley, which meeting are you, if you could only look at one fixture over the weekend, which would it be?
Probably Ascot, because I've had a decent bet in one of them on a handicap chase.
James, what about you?
Yeah, Ascot as well for me. That's where my best bets are, so I'd probably go there more than
anywhere. If I was only looking at one race here, it would definitely be the Charlie Hall, and that is where we're going to start. 3:15 at Wetherby on Saturday. It's the 3-mile chase featuring two of our very favourite jump sources, plus some other absolute stars. So I'm going to be the Paddy Power representative as well. So Paddy Power bet 15 to 8 Coney Gree, 5 to 2 Q Card, 8 Black Line, 8 Bristol Demite, 8 Definitely Red, 16 Village Vic, and 20 to 1 Bar. James Hill, we'll start with you. When I looked at the betting, and this is the first time I've seen it, I was surprised that Q Card isn't favourite. Are you?
Well, if you look at his runs previously in this race, he actually hasn't been at his best. He always tends to come on for his first run of the season. Now, it could be different this time because I gather he's had a racecourse outing at Wincanton, Racecourse Gallop. So he might strip a bit fitter. But generally, he tends to come on for his first run of the season. Whereas Coney Gree is a horse that you can set your watch by. I mean, he runs the same race every time. He's so consistent. And he's better off at the weights, really, than Q Card is. So,
who wins it then?
Well, I'm not 15 to 8. I'm just not one to go for old favourites at these short prices. I know that sounds fairly heartless, but I like to go for younger, improving types. Bristol Demai, I was quite keen on him a few weeks ago when he was due to run at Stratford. He didn't, but he should be ready to go. The stable's in tremendous form, and now the rain is coming. I think I've got to have a few quid on him. I just think at 6 years old, he's too young to give up on.
Okay. Is the rain coming? What's happening with the weekend weather generally kills?
It's a disaster. Yeah, there's rain everywhere, basically. Most likely in the south, a lot of it for Ascot, which is worrying me a little bit because my horse doesn't want it that bad. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be soft at Wetherby. I think I fancy Q Card over Coney Gree, to be honest. Even with a £6, I think he's just a better horse. But he did get beaten under a £10 penalty last year. It's only a £6 penalty this year, but he also got beaten by a lower rated horse who also carried a £10 penalty. So, he does need to be better than he was first time up last year. I've had a few quid each way on Definitely Red, who does go very well fresh. Does really like Wetherby as well. He's got a fair bit to find on the form. But it's that time of year. You get funny results at this meeting year in, year out.
I remember last year, Tizard said that, did he say they didn't put him in the race too early? They made too much of him or something? They've made some sort of excuse that didn't quite ring true. And I was thinking, hang on a sec, is this also on the downgrade? And then he came and whizzed up at Haydock, didn't he?
Yeah, I think what he does need, without a shadow of a doubt now, is he needs soft ground. I mean, he was never travelling in the Gold Cup at all last year. I don't know why they're thinking about running him in the Ryanair. It'll be the same thing. I think it's the ground that is a massive issue for him now, and it must be soft. So he's got conditions this time, and he's likely to go very, very well. And if he's still as good as last year, then he'll win.
Okay, so the boys are taking on the front two. James is going for Bristol Demai and Kills having a few quid each one. Definitely Red against the front two. The first of the televised heats at Wetherby's the 2:05. It's the OLBG.com Mares Hurdle, and La Bague au Roi is the 10 to 11 favourite with Paddy Power. They also bet, hang on, I'm rubbish at this. Let's have a look. 11 to 2 Lady Buttons, 7 to 1 Miss Night Owl, 8 to 1 Giveaway Glance, 10 Late Night Lily, 16 Bar. We've got the flat 8 here, so do we take on the Fav with an each way poke, or do we just lump on Kills?
I don't. I think she's a class above. She's a few pound ahead on the ratings. I think she's probably better than that as well. So I think she's quite a classy mare, and I think she'd take a hell of a lot of beating.
Okay, by the way, when I introduced the show, there were two things I forgot to say. We've got Ron Wood, who's one of the great judges on America. He's going to be coming on and give us some tips soon. But also, as a special bonus, because you're probably thinking, where's Frank Hickey? Frank's been away this week, but I did say to him, if you can send us over a tip or two, that would be great. He sent us 7, and one of them is in this. It's the La Bague au Roi, so it should prove tough to beat. Odds against, worth taking in this field. Paddy Power odds on at 10 to 11, but you might get some odds against. So that's the first of Frank's tips. What do you think will happen here, James?
I have to agree with Frank and Keels. I think she'll take all the beating. I mean, if it wasn't for the rain arriving, she'd be an absolute certainty, really. She's just a class above the rest. And there's some evidence on her reading on the dam side that she'll handle this softer ground. So, yeah, class above the rest, I think she'll land the odds.
Jolly good. 3 votes then for La Bague au Roi in the 205. In the 240, the Bet365 hurdle, better known as the West Yorkshire hurdle, Lil Rockefeller is the favourite at 5 to 4 with Paddy Power. We've got good old Petit Zig at 3 to 1, Holstone at 4 to 1, 10 Fountains, Windfall, 14's Bar. James, you go first.
Well, Lil Rockefeller's dead consistent, but I do think over this trip, certainly he's better on better ground, so he won't like the forecast rain. Just some of the outsiders looked interesting here, in particular Gabri. Young improving horse. He had some really good form last year. He was second behind Willoughby Court at Warwick. He also had a horse called Peregrine Run behind him, who's got fairly close form with that horse of Twiston Davis's in the race, who is fairly closely matched on form with Gabri, and Gabri's a much bigger price. And he also won a qualifier, Pertemps qualifier at Chepstow, beating Jury Duty. And Jury Duty went on to finish 3rd in the Pertemps final itself. And Gabri didn't run that well in the Pertemps final, but otherwise he's got a pretty consistent and progressive profile. Stays well, and he will like the ground.
6, 7 runners is no good to us though, James, is it?
It's a bit annoying, but yeah, I still think he's worth a bit each way, with the favourite being so short.
Jolly good. Kills, what do you reckon?
Yeah, well, again, it's another one. It's this time of year, isn't it? You don't know whether horses are going to be fit and whatever. But if you want to know what these lot have got up against with Little Rockefeller, the top 3, Fountains, Windfall, Holstone, and Gabri are, according to Racing Post ratings, they have £23 to find, which is a hell of a lot. You remember, he's getting weight. He's rated 164. They're rated in the mid to high 140s. The only thing with Little Rockefeller, he doesn't actually win very often. He's obviously second in the Stayers hurdle to what was the name of that thing? The thing that I always back.
Nichols Canyon.
Yeah, good old Nichols, yeah.
No, I backed for the champion.
I don't know, I forgot that because it saved my festival.
Backed that for the champion hurdle last year this time. So I think it'd take a world of beating. The only one I can see really beating is Petit Zig. Now, he does go well fresh. He's been a very in and out horse over the last few seasons, but he has got some really serious form to his name. Obviously, he won a French champion hurdle last year. For me, it's those two. They've got so much in hand. Unless something improves dramatically, it's got to be one of them two.
Which one then?
I'm going to say Petit Zig because I just think he wins more often.
Righty-ho, let's go to Ascot. 4 races there on ITV4, starting with the 150. It's 2 mile 3 furlongs, the Ascot Underwriting Chase. A novices limited handicap. We don't have any prices yet from Paddy Power. There are 8 runners. Which of them will cross the line in front, Paul?
Well, hopefully Benatar. He would have been an absolute certainty if he hadn't run in a Grade 1 hurdle at Aintree on his final start last year, and he finished a fairly distant 4th there, but went up £12 for it. Otherwise, he'd be running off 130 here. But he's got fences written all over him. He's going to make a decent chaser for Gary Moore, I think. He's got his work cut out of 142 against a couple who could be well handicapped, but I do like him. I think he's going to be a progressive horse this year, so I'll go with him. He'll probably be a fair price. The other one that interested me, if it doesn't get too soft, is Copain de Classe of Paul Nicholls. He said last year this is a horse for fences in the autumn, but he got absolutely battered on heavy ground earlier last season, and he won't want the ground going too soft.
James Hill.
Oh, I'd have to agree with Keels. I'm really looking forward to seeing Benatar go over fences. Definitely looks chaser. The forecast rain that's coming will be good for him. And he's gone well fresh in the past before. So, yeah, he'd have to be my selection there.
I tell you, it's a real sod, isn't it? When you don't, you're waiting on the weather. You're having to trust the weather forecaster, Kills, aren't you? Because they don't always get it right by any means, do they? But we're pretty confident there's a ton of rain coming.
No, all the satellite images I looked on the Met Office. They're showing absolutely loads of it, and it's going to be around for hours and hours, which is annoying. Now that wasn't on the radar earlier in the week. So Ascot watered. They watered the whole course twice at the beginning of the week. Then they got the forecast and said they wouldn't water anymore. The going stick does suggest it is as they say it is good to firm in places. So hopefully it won't get any worse than good to soft. But if it does, some of mine might not go so well.
225 is the Burn Group handicap chase over 2 miles and a furlong. Wide open. Paddy Power bet 9-2 Maracuja, 5 Quite by Chance, 6 Calypto, 6 Thane Val, 7 Max Ward, 10-1 Sunshine, 10 Speradec, 12-1 Little Pop, 14s Bar. We've got about 10 runners, so there's an each way angle to this one. James, you go first.
Well, with the ground being watered and the rain coming, this could be the moment we see Venetia Williams pop up for the first time this season. I mean, she's had a few runners already, but this tends to be the meeting where she brings out her big guns, and she's actually won this race 3 times before. Her Calypto looks interesting to me. He's a horse who's well treated on some of his best hurdles form. He ran very well first time up last year in the Grand Annual. Also, a couple of seasons back, he ran well when fresh in the Betfair hurdle. So he goes well fresh. Brian Cooper looks at an interesting booking. So if his jumping holds up, I think he could go well.
Calypto for James. Who for you, Paul Keeley?
Yeah, it's funny. He was one of the first ones I looked at earlier in the week. But when I saw the weather forecast, I thought that she might not run him. I mean, she's had a second and a third in this race, as well as those 3 winners in the last 8 or 9 years. So you've got to pay attention to that. And it's the same ownership as Cold March, who won the race in 2015. The one I put up in the weekend, there was Some Sheen, who is trained by Seamus Mullins. Therefore, less fashionable yard, you get a fair price. But if you look at some of his form, it is rock solid. He was 14-1 shot when he won a soft ground race at Hereford in March, and next time out he ran at Ayr in a listed race on the Scottish National Day. He was third to Vanitaire. He was beaten 5 lengths, but only a short head in front of him was Romain de Senham, who has gone up £12 since for winning twice this year. Now, Some Sheen's a 9-year-old going on 10, so he won't have that £12 of improvement that Romain de Senham has in him, but he might still be well enough handicapped to play a hand.
It'd be nice to see Andrew Thornton boot home a Saturday TV winner, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm sure he won't be getting many more. He's got to be packing it up soon, hasn't he? He's gone past 1,000, but he's cracking on.
He's not far off your age, is he, Kills? 3 o'clock at Ascot, the William Hill Handicap Hurdle. Listed race over 1 mile, 7.5 furlongs. Still looks weird, doesn't it, when you see jumps racing taking place over less than 2 miles. And one of Frank's tips runs here. He said he thought it was very interesting that Verdana Blue was skipping the listed mares race in Wetherby for this. A mark of 136 could be very fair. He's going to chance her each way. Now, Paddy Power bet 4 Jenkins, 6 Elgin, 7 Frank's tip, Verdana Blue, 8-1 Airhorse 1, 8-1 Dolos, 10-1 Cade de Lynn, and 12-1 Bar. Keels, you go first.
Yeah, well, Frank could have spotted the old smoke screen there, couldn't he? Because obviously Nicky Henderson had Jenkins in, who was a much shorter price favourite earlier in the week. He was 11 to floor in a couple of places. He's 4-1 now. I think he was favourite just about for the Supreme at the start of last season. He won very easily at Newbury, but he looked really clumsy then when he won. And then when he ran at Kempton next time, he just could not jump to save his life. He got beat at odds on. He won at odds on his final start, in a small meeting, but again made a real meal of it. But the jockey then said that he seemed to be gulping for air, so you can bet he's had a breathing problem. But since then, obviously, he's drifted. Verdana Blue has halved in price since Monday, so you wonder whether that's the Henderson one that's really fancied. I quite look at Harry Fry's Air Horse 1. He's got some decent form to his name. He was third and fourth in the county hurdle, not beaten far by Arctic Fire. Won a race over this course over a little bit further on soft ground in February. And just looks to be progressing. Now, a lot of Harry Fry's have needed a run, but I think this race is valuable enough for him to have got it straight. So
okay, right, so Kills is going for Air Horse 1. James, what's your view of this one?
Well, when I first looked at the race, one of the horses that stuck out to me was Elgin, and I think I'm still going to side with him. I think some of his form from last season in the novice contest is really, really good. He was second to some really good types, and he's got good form on softish ground as well. And Alan King won this a few years back with a horse carrying a lot of weight, Rare Star. So he could well do it again here. My one concern is He does race quite keenly, and for that reason sometimes doesn't finish the strongest. But if he can just settle a bit better, he's got to have strong each-way claimers, I'd say.
Jolly good. Let's move on to the feature at Ascot, 3:35. It's the Sodexo Gold Cup. 18 runners, a 3-mile handicap chase, a rattling good betting heat. Paddy Power bet 6 Go Conquer, 7-1 Braqueur d'Or, 7-1 Dark Flame, 9-1 Thomas Brown, 10-1 Anthony and Emerging Force, and 14-1 Bar. Frank Hickey says Thomas Brown has won first time out past 3 seasons, and he's only a pound higher than Aintree win last season. Think Ascot is a track that suits, and he should go well at an each-way price. So Frank Hickey goes for Thomas Brown. James Hill goes for
Emerging Force.
So there's a bit of confidence in your voice here, James.
That is one I would be very hopeful about. I mean, he's got a lot going for him, I think. Goes well fresh. There was one bit of form last season which looks really good now. He was 4th behind some really nice types at Cheltenham, including Single Farm Payment. I mean, all the 3 horses who finished just in front of him that day, they're all rated at least 145 or more, some even in the 150s. I mean, he's only on 139. And he's a really good jumper. I actually think the rain might help him a bit, because if there's one slight negative about him, he doesn't really have a change of pace or anything. He jumps and gallops. I think he's well treated and he should be ready to go.
Aye. James is going to be smashing up Emerging Force. Kills, what do you like?
I don't know. This was my "this will not be beaten" moment until the forecast rain. I'm still going to go with it though. If the ground was good, I thought Dark Flame was an absolute certainty. I really did. He's got some terrific form early last season. He beat first time out last season, first time over fences. He beat more bucks at Sandown. He absolutely destroyed him. Just canted clear, won by 8 lengths. The runner-up won twice on next 2 starts. Next time out, Dark Flame finished third. Sorry, in a 2-mile 3 furlong handicap chase. Here in a field of 15, went off favourite. The winner went up £8, bolted up again, went up another £10. The second is £8 higher now than it was then. The third is £9 higher now than it was then. Dark Flame is £2 lower. He ran 3 times since, twice on soft and heavy ground, which he doesn't really like. And then once back at Ascot, where I thought he did really, really well not to go up, because he was second to Present Man over 2-mile 5, and he was only beaten a length and 3/4, and he was badly off in the weights that day. And he's just been left alone on an official mark of 133. He is absolutely crying out for 3 miles. There's so much stamina in the family. Some guy on Twitter actually contacted me. He said, yeah, he's from the family of Exmoor Ranger, who won this race in 2011. When he gets 3 miles, every time he runs, he just looks like he wants to go further.
Is there a proviso that if it absolutely chucks it down?
Soft ground. I mean, his 2 wins have been on good to soft ground. He handles it good soft. I mean, if it goes soft, I would be worried. I have to say that, but as long as it's not that bad, if it's good to soft, I wouldn't be worried. I think he'll win. I think he'll go very, very close.
Sound very confident there, Kills. Okay, time to find out who's won the free bet. On Monday, we asked who is favourite with Paddy Power for next year's Investec Derby. The answer, of course, is the Racing Post Trophy winner, Saxon Warrior even, and congratulations to Simon Kinsey from South Wales, who doesn't have to worry about where his betting money is coming from this weekend, because a free £25 bet from Paddy Power is winging its way into his account. Well done, Simon. Another chance to win in Monday's show.